welcome back to another edition of the Unknown Sports Podcast. My name is AJ Musser. Joined with me, as per usual, is Hunter Harris. Hunter, dude, what's up?
What's up?
Not a whole lot. NFL app is trying to say that Myles Garrett's better than TJ Watt, but that's a conversation for another day, so we're going to ignore that.
Hey, that sounds like the conversation I had with Michael.
Yes,
remember that?
You guys have
we got
$100
on that.
Yeah.
That's funny that they brought that up.
Yeah, it's funny that pops up just as we start the show today. That is good.
So do you want to dive into why I'm right on that?
Yeah, no, we'll save that for another time. We'll bring him on too so he can argue the other side. But first, let's introduce the hashtag beer of the week, brought to you by Springfield Brewing Company, made right here in Springfield, Missouri. This one is called Walnut Street. It's called that because Springfield Brew Company is located on Walnut Street.
Got my hair cut there yesterday, so, I'm a local.
It's a wheat beer. I'm a big wheat beer guy. Hunter, do you like wheat beer?
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Or do you not know the difference?
Psh! How dare you?
Oh, that's a pretty weak pour. All right, so don't take me for that one, but thank you, Macadoodles, for the nice glass.
Yeah.
Thank you for supplying us with our beer that we get. Hashtag
Sorry, Macadoodles. I don't have our glass yet, but it's my next purchase, I promise.
We're working on it for the next pack we come there and purchase. We'll be getting another Macadoodles glass. But first drink of the day, here's to you. Walnut Street, Springfield Brew Co., Macadoodles. That's actually the beer I get every time I go there. Anytime we go for someone's birthday or something, okay, I always get this one. This one's a pretty good one.
So it's not a new one for beer me. That you know.
It's not a. It's not. It wasn't a good selection, but I've got some more in the fridge that we've got for upcoming weeks. But until then, let's head up today's stuff. Let's start with the news. Hunter, you want to take that over for me?
First news for this Thursday night football game, we had a couple COVID positive tests. We had ones in Green Bay and we had ones in San Francisco. Basically, the players that are going to be out and affected by this are Deebo Samuel, Kendrick Bourne, A.J. Dillon, and am I forgetting any other names here?
Not off the top of my head.
Jamal Williams, the other running back for the Packers. So that's 4 skill position players. Bunch of injuries too, which we're going to get into. And then we had a couple trades as well.
We'll touch up on the injuries as we go through the games and stuff.
Yeah. And then, we had a couple trades. I don't know if you want to get into that right away here. It was the trade deadline this week, and it was rather boring. And
lots of talk. Yeah, lots of talk on what could have happened, typical media stuff, and then the day of, just silence. Nothing happened.
Mm-hmm. It's rather disappointing for sure. But a lot of that is attributed to COVID. And if you make one of these trades, they're going to have to go through this whole process, and they're not even going to be available until a week from now or at the earliest. So.
Yeah. Who was someone that you thought would get moved but did not get moved?
Obviously, there was a lot of talk about Will Fuller. I was kind of expecting that to happen, and it didn't.
As a Packers fan, yeah, that's pretty tough to add another receiver to that arsenal. Did you hear what the reports were that Green Bay was willing to offer? Because I never did. I'm just curious if you did, being a Packers fan and diving more into it.
Well, when I looked at everything, basically what they wanted was a second rounder for him. And we said, that's way too much. But he's on a contract year, so this is his last year before somebody has to sign him to big money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it. But what happens when you make a trade like that and the guy walks away from you, you get a compensatory pick. And in this instance, it would be a third-round pick. So we would drop
that's why
around.
Houston wouldn't make that move for a third-round pick, because they're going to get a third-round pick out of him anyway. They wanted something better.
but I don't understand because it sounds like Houston is willing, but Green Bay was just no. And I, I personally, I didn't think receiver was our biggest need, but it's
I'd agree
really
with that.
disappointing to that we just didn't do anything. You
Yeah, I
know?
mean, Packers are typically pretty reserved. And I made this statement. I don't want to drag this on too long, but I talked to Carly and her mom the other night when she came over. We talked football for a little bit. I don't think there's as much urgency in the Packers front office to do those sort of things because there's no owner breathing down the GM's neck and the head coach's neck on, hey, I kind of want to win this season. We've been waiting, like a Jerry Jones, like in his late 70s. Like, I don't have too many more years of running this show. I want to win. The Packers don't have that because the Packers are ran by, the owners are the people who live in Green Bay. So I think that's part of the reason why the Packers aren't aggressive in off-season moves and trade deadline moves.
And I think you're right on that, but it's infuriating that we have an all-time quarterback and we can continue to just settle for mediocrity every year when we have a team that's literally pieces away right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to deal with as
Yeah.
a fan. But do you want to get into these real trades that actually happened?
Yeah, hit them up real quick.
All right, Desmond King, slot cornerback with the Chargers, was traded to the Titans for a 6th-round pick.
That's a get him out of the building kind of a trade.
Yeah, he was on an expiring contract as well, so he was going to be re-signed. And slot cornerback is a position that has been proven to be basically undervalued this whole time for the NFL players and the league as a whole because it's easily replaceable with scheme. But he is like the best slot cornerback in the league, so that's a big trade. Kwan Alexander, he was with the Niners. Kwan.
It's definitely Quan.
I've heard it pronounced both ways. I've heard. Okay. Anyways, he was traded to the Saints for Kiko Alonso, who is a middle linebacker who was aging. He's 30 years old now, and a 5th-round pick. So that's a good little move for them, I believe, as well. So.
All right. So that's pretty much all of the interesting trades that happened or trades to big teams that are making moves. So let's just dive into this week. Let's dive into the Thursday night action we've got tonight. Today is Thursday morning that we're recording. We've got the Green Bay Packers at the San Francisco 49ers. Green Bay is a 7-point favorite in San Francisco tonight, mainly in my reason because George Kittle's out. Garoppolo's a little banged up with that ankle. I don't think he's playing tonight. But what do you think? Give me your analysis of this one.
Yeah, the Niners are missing all of their skill position players from the NFC Championship game where they absolutely boat raced Green Bay last year.
Yeah.
All that being said, it was scheme that beat the Packers last year. They just ran the ball right at him with this zone running type of scheme that they run, and it was really tough for the Packers to get any sort of resistance. And I don't know how we're going to combat this, even though all these starters are out. What do you think?
Well, so this one was a tough pick for me, and you mentioned scheme, and so that's why I went with San Francisco in this one. I think that their scheme and Green Bay's awful rushing defense, as we saw last Sunday against Minnesota and Dalvin Cook. I mean, he's one of the best running backs in the league, but he ran all over them for 4 touchdowns. And you could see the issues Green Bay has with their defense while he ran all over them. And I mean, Kirk Cousins dropped back to pass, I think 14 times in that game. I might be wrong there, but Minnesota's whole game plan was, hey, we're just going to run the ball the whole game and see if they can stop it. And Green Bay didn't stop it. And that's why they ended up taking the L against Minnesota at home on Sunday. And I think San Francisco is going to come at them with the same thing. Kyle Shanahan always gets a running back to step up, so that's not the part I'm worried about. The key impact blocking that Kittle does, I think, is going to give this run game some issues.
Well, you got to
So
remember
really,
that Kittle is out now as well.
yeah, no, he's on IR.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
what is it? What's the injury? Real quick, he is
Was it 8 weeks for him? I believe something
8 weeks. Oh,
brutal.
a foot injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a fracture in his foot. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with Kittle out, maybe Garoppolo out, I think that they're going to rely heavily on this run. And I don't expect San Francisco to win, but I do expect them to cover the spread.
I agree. This sucks to say as a Packers fan, but our defense just sucks. It's bad. We can't stop anything, and maybe that's attributed to injury, but the two main guys to stop the run that are out and have been out are Christian Kirksey and Taylor Lancaster, who's like our third defensive tackle. So it's like, I mean, how much of an impact really is that? And is this Packers defense just not good?
I told you Kirksey was going to get hurt. As soon as he left the Browns, I was like, that's fine. I mean, sure, he's a great locker room guy, especially in Cleveland. But he can't stay healthy. He can't stay on the field.
Yeah, and I mean, he's supposed to be coming back here, so maybe he can pull it together. But right now, this Packers defense is not good. We need to see a huge development for them to do anything. 7 points here. I don't like it.
So in the 49ers.
Yeah, in San Francisco too. This game is scheduled to be on as well too, but we'll see. There's still a whole lot of time here between now and tonight. So
yeah,
Nick Mullins is starting too.
Bet you're wishing you had Blake Martinez right about now.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next game. We're moving to Sunday. We've got the Denver Broncos at the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta's a 4-point favorite in this one. Give me your analysis on this one, Hunter.
Atlanta seems to have found a little bit of something here. You know, they're at home here. I'm taking them just because of that, basically, and they've looked semi-decent the past few weeks. But Denver, we got to talk about last week and what happened with the Chargers and that game. Was that more attributed to Drew Lock and the Denver Broncos, you think, or was that more attributed to how incompetent it seems the Chargers?
Yeah, so I had this game on, and I was kind of watching it out of the corner of my eye the whole game. But I didn't really see how it ended. I turned it off so that we could turn another game on Game Pass on the big TV, so I kind of didn't see the end of it, but I went back that night and I watched I watched the game highlights of it. And to me, it wasn't like Drew Lock brought the team back because he even made some mistakes in the fourth quarter. I'm pretty sure he threw an interception in the fourth quarter that could have ended it. And I think they were saying, I heard some sports talk about how the Chargers had like a drive or something in the fourth quarter that was like a minute and a half long. And it's like, you got to kill like in your 3 plays, you get, even if you go 3 and out, you got to kill more than 90 seconds. Like take time off the clock. I think that loss is on Anthony Lynn because from what I saw, Justin Herbert really didn't have that bad of a game.
Yeah, that's 3 losses now here where he's lost double-digit leads going into the fourth quarter, I believe this was the stat. Yeah,
16-point leads,
16 point. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, we like Anthony Lynn on Hard Knocks, and he seems like a great guy, but
yeah, Anthony Lynn as the person I want to have a barbecue with, but as my head coach, maybe not. I don't know, but
in this
we'll
game,
see.
Though,
maybe he can improve. I mean, maybe it's not here that he improves in Los Angeles. Maybe he gets another job, and maybe he grows from there. But I'm not shaming him completely as a head coach by any means, but maybe it's just not going to work out in Los Angeles.
Who'd you go with, Denver or Atlanta, in this one?
I took Atlanta in this one because I have faith in Matty Ice, and for that reason only. He's looking a little bit refreshed since Dan Quinn's been out of the building. Calvin Ridley, like I said, is questionable, but and so is Russell Gage, but I think they'll both play. So I'm excited to see what Matt Ryan can do this weekend.
I'm ready to move on to the next one if you are. Fantasy guys, though, anybody that you like on the Denver side? We know who our Atlanta guys are.
On the Denver side, no. uh, Philip Lindsay was questionable. I didn't even put that on the list of people because I didn't think it was even significant enough. Um,
You know
but your
he leads the
typical,
league in yards per carry. Lindsey does.
what's that?
You know Lindsey leads the league in yards per carry.
Do you know that Blake Martinez leads the NFL in
Okay,
tackles
well
right now?
this is I don't like this.
I know. I'm
I'm
sorry. I'm
feeling
attacking
attacked
you.
today.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, we've got the Seattle Seahawks at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo's offense is on a bit of a slump right now, which is another reason why I think Seattle is a 3-point favorite in this one. Hunter, you know my golden rule, dude. Everyone that listens to our podcast knows my golden rule. I take Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes every time because I have faith in them to pull it out, and I took Russell Wilson in this one as well. I think that Josh Allen, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to take my turn now. Josh Allen's throwing mechanics, I don't know what changed from the first couple weeks of the season to these past couple weeks, but I noticed it when I was watching him this weekend, and he misses. It's a deep corner route, and he overthrows the guy by like 10 yards, and it's not even close. He overthrows the safety, and I watched him release it, and he like stops his throw at the top of it, like he's trying to put touch on it, but he doesn't know how to put touch on it, and he just launches it. I mean, the guy has an absolute cannon, but like he's got to follow through the footwork. I mean, it's hard to see when he was in the pocket on that play that I'm talking about, but he stops his arm short and just completely sails the pass. And it's like, I mean, the guy had 4 yards in space between the sideline, and he had 5 yards between him and the safety. Like, you just missed that guy by a mile. And I don't know. I don't know if it's something that can be fixed midseason. It's pretty frustrating. But you know what? I'm going to take a drink to him from the old Walnut Street here.
You know,
And I'm
I'm
going to say, Josh Allen, take a deep breath, dude. Learn to throw a deep ball. Everything's going to work out in the end. Go ahead, Hunter.
yeah, I'm not going to take a drink here because I said that, and I've always been on the train that he is not as good as people think he is. I know I did a little
I'm
bit of
still
an
on it.
apology, and I thought maybe he was turning the corner on his career early in this season, but
Still think he
maybe it
is.
was just a blip on the radar. You know, it's just
Just think, hey, everyone's got slumps.
everyone gets hot too. This is
Yeah.
a this is just one of those things that Josh Allen may be. He might be
Yeah.
a streaky player, and when he faces good defenses that know how to play him, he performs badly. And yeah, the offense for Buffalo is suffering because of it.
And Seattle's offense is exploding right now. And if this game's a shootout, I don't think there's any chance Buffalo hangs in, and that's why I took Seattle.
Yeah, I'm taking Seattle as well for those same reasons. I don't think Buffalo is a good team. So
Whoa. You're going to throw out the whole good team part? Do they win the AFC East?
looking
Just
at
yes or no?
looking at the schedule, they have a rough end of season schedule here, and the Patriots have an easy one, even though the Patriots are 2-5 now. So I'm not picking the Patriots by any means, but strength of schedule wise, it's not easy for the Bills.
And one more Josh Allen question before we move on. Is his ceiling Cam Newton?
You know, I don't know. We can get into the whole Cam thing here in a little bit because it's been pretty bad. So, do you think the Dolphins are the best team in this division?
We'll get to that here when we get to the Miami game. Let's
Okay.
move on to the next one in line. We've got the Chicago Bears, Chicago, against and at the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's a 6-point favorite in this one for good reasons. Chicago Bears can't score points to save their lives. Bears fans are up in arms about Matt Nagy and their play calling. I don't know if it's Nick Foles looking rough or whatever, but I mean, the Bears defense is going to give the Titans a little bit of fits, but I'm taking the Titans in this one because I think that they can outscore the Bears by more than 6. I'm betting that the Titans will put up 24 to 27 points, something like that, and I'm betting the Bears are only going to get 17.
The Bears have this unique and kind of disgusting ability to just make every game completely gross and make every single game, a low scoring, turnover, not converting on third and long drives that ending in no points kind of game.
Yeah.
I'm taking Chicago in this game because of that. Tennessee did make a trade this week to help their defense out, but they won't have that player available here for another week, and they have been pretty poor on defense, outside of that. So I'm taking Chicago.
Yeah, and I'm looking up a stat here real quickly. Yeah, Chicago this season is -5 in point differential, and they're 5-3.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, they've
incredible.
got a winning record, and yet they've only scored 161 points, which is actually the least in the division. Even the Vikings at the bottom of the division have put up more points than the Chicago Bears.
It's
Another
incredible.
wild fact, the Dallas Cowboys have even put up more points than the Chicago Bears this season.
No way.
But
That's a real
yes.
thing? Oh, that has to be
the
front loaded.
The Dallas Cowboys have scored 185 points this season, and the Chicago Bears, second in the NFC North at 5-3, have scored 161. But they've only given up 166 as well. If you know how to do simple math, you know that -5. But so I think that Tennessee's going to win this one for the example I just gave, that Chicago can't score points. And I think their defense might slow Tennessee down a little bit, but they're still not going to be able to score as much as Tennessee does in this one. And scoring more points than the other team, that's how you win football games.
Wow. This is real insight here. Any fancy guys you like?
So Corey Davis has been stepping up pretty big, and Adam Humphries might be out with a concussion. He did not practice Wednesday. So I think that opens up more targets for Corey Davis. That could be good. Corey Davis and A.J. Brown are good ones. Jonnu Smith might even get a few more touches with Adam Humphries, their slot receiver, being out. So those three guys there. Obviously, Derrick Henry. I think Ryan Tannehill could have a decent game. Maybe if you're in a pinch, start Ryan Tannehill, but wouldn't recommend that if you've got someone better. What about you?
If you haven't hit your trade deadline yet, I would really try to trade for Allen Robinson. He's got a great schedule here towards the end of the year, and he could be a guy that carries you through the playoffs into a championship if you wanted to make that move. In terms of this game here, I would probably start David Montgomery just because I freaking have to because of his work, even though he's not awesome. And, he's not going to give you any more than probably 15 to 20 points max.
Yeah.
Then on the other side of the ball, you know who your guys are. I like your Corey Davis call a lot, though. That's a good play this week. So.
Well, thank you. I don't consider myself a fantasy expert since in our league I'm 1-7, but I'll roll with it. Let's move on to the next game. We've got the Baltimore Ravens at the Indianapolis Colts. Baltimore is only a 2.5-point favorite, given a lot of respect to this Indianapolis defense, or is it ripping on the Baltimore offense? How do you interpret that one?
It's ripping on the Baltimore offense. They haven't looked awesome.
You think so? Even with Darius Leonard back with Indianapolis, you think it's?
Yeah. Well, I guess you could say it's both then, but it's hard to watch this Baltimore team right now when they don't have a double-digit lead. I was telling Jason last night. I was talking to him about Lamar Jackson, and he was like,
"Has he just?" Friends that is a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
Background.
Has he just fallen off a cliff? Like, no, I don't think he's fallen off a cliff. I still think that, when you have a double-digit lead, there may not be another quarterback in the entire league that you'd want more than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I could agree with that 100% because how ground efficient he is. Yeah, he's going to keep the clock rolling, and his IQ also is underrated. He is a very smart runner. He knows the situation. He knows the down and distance. He knows the clock, and he knows to get down inbounds or out of bounds. I think he's a really smart runner with the ball. But, yeah, I'm with you. If you got a 2-touchdown lead and you've got Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, you might as well start chalking up that W.
The part of it that is hard, though, is on the flip side. When you have a double-digit deficit, there may not be a quarterback that you want less than Lamar Jackson.
Ooh, do we want to play this game real quick? Less than Lamar Jackson.
It's maybe a little
I
bit of an
want Lamar Jackson
exaggeration.
more than Benny DiNucci,
You mean
who
Mike?
will never see the field ever again.
You mean Mike McCarthy's brother's little league player?
Yeah,
God,
his
that's
little
so
basketball.
stupid.
Yeah.
Anyways, Lamar Jackson is not good at playing from behind. Do you see that happening in this Indianapolis game? Indianapolis has quietly put together a couple nice weeks here.
So I think that if Baltimore can get their offense going early and they can have Rivers struggle early, I think they can build that lead and then they can maintain it. But if Phillip Rivers starts out hot and this Colts defense starts out pretty solid and Lamar is slow to get going and their offense has been what it's been the past few weeks, Indianapolis could pull this one out. But I took Baltimore in this one and my faith in Lamar Jackson.
I understand all of that. I'm going with the Colts here. I believe this could be an
Ooh.
upset win. They have all the momentum right now in the world. Like you said, they have Darius Leonard back, and whenever they could, if they could get out to a nice lead here to start the game, this could be actually a really fun game. I would definitely watch this one on Sunday. This is a fun matchup.
Anyone you got fantasy wise in this one?
Uh,
You think
Naeem
Marquise Brown,
Hines.
Brown sees some more touches after tweeting at the team last week?
I mean, who knows? That's all game script dependent. Last week he should have gotten more touches for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, in this game, like I said, Naeem Hines exploded last week. I don't know if that's going to continue. It seems like he's one of those players that's just going to explode every once in a while. If you want to play somebody consistent, if he's healthy, you play Jonathan Taylor. I know last week Jordan Wilkins
He's a
got all
little
of the
banged
work.
up.
He was a little bit banged up though, and that's what kind of seeped through the cracks there, and people were freaking out. My Jonathan Taylor, he's supposed to be a top 5 running back, the rest of the season. What is this? And
Yeah.
you know, it was just injury, I think. So he's going to be back on getting the lion's share of the work. So
All right, let's move on to the next one. We've got the Carolina Panthers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Hunter, start it up.
I'm going Chiefs here. I'm not going to waste any time.
You know?
They are right now. They have a 101 point differential. That is the highest that they have since 2013. They're not only great on offense, but they're great on defense. I guess I should rephrase that. I don't know if they are great on defense, but they are at least serviceable on defense to where this offense can do all the heavy lifting and they can pretty much cruise to wins. They are not fighting for these wins in these games. Carolina, I don't know what to make of them. They seem to be a good team. Teddy Bridgewater seems to be a good quarterback. But I'm going the Chiefs here just because they are at home and they've been so good.
Yeah. I'm going with the Chiefs because of the golden rule. I always take Mahomes. Gonna take Mahomes because I believe in him to win this game by more than 11. Teddy Bridgewater on this offense has been pretty solid, but I don't see Carolina keeping up with Kansas City in the shootout. Kansas City's got too many weapons.
Do you think Christian
I'm
McCaffrey
taking
being
the
back
Chiefs.
this week will be any sort of a X factor?
No. I think he'll get his touches and stuff, and it'll be nice to have him back. If he's on your fantasy team, you're going to enjoy having him back. But and it might even be limited. They might give him a snap count since this game's probably not going to be close. But Chiefs are going to take this one. I don't see McCaffrey being a huge X factor in this one.
My last fantasy question for you is: last week we had Mecole Hardman absolutely explode. Do you think that continues? Is that a trend that we're going to see going forward? I said a few weeks ago that when Sammy Watkins went out that he's the guy, but it hasn't been until last week that was the case.
So my fantasy opinion with Kansas City receivers, with the exception of Tyreek Hill, is like having a Patriots running back. You don't know who's going to have the week. You don't know who's going to get the touches because Andy Reid can draw it up for any of them at any time. Because, I mean, even Pringle, their punt returner, kick returner, if they throw him into the mix, he can get touches. He had a pretty good game the other week. But like between Robinson and Hardman, I mean, they're all pretty much the same receiver. The only difference is that Tyreek Hill's the fastest of them.
Yeah. And Tyreek Hill's been extremely consistent this year. If you drafted him, you are
Yep.
more than happy with what you've seen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm continuing to play Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know last week was a little bit of a head scratcher. They were playing the Jets, and you were thinking, "Wow, do you think they'd run the ball more on them than run the clock out?" But wasn't the
I
case.
thought it was a pretty good strategy for the Chiefs actually to go and say, "Hey, let's get Mahomes going this week. Let's start that fire and get him hot for the next few weeks, and let's go out and throw the ball what we're best at." And they actually threw the ball downfield and threw 2 plus 25 or 25 or more yards touchdown passes to Tyreek Hill last week. So dialing up that connection and getting them going, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that Patrick Mahomes, I think that game's going to help him going forward this season, and that might give them the spark to start just lighting teams up again.
Very possible.
Let's move on to the next one. The Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings. Right now, this game is up in the air for COVID reasons, so there is no spread on it. So we're not even going to spend a whole lot of time on it. If this game were going to be played, and let's just say it was even at this point, who would you take?
I'd take the Vikings. They've found a bit of an offensive identity, and while their defense is still not great, that offensive identity is enough to push them past this Lions team that continually shoots themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I would be taking Minnesota too, because I think they're kind of identifying that, hey, maybe we just run the whole team around Dalvin Cook, and if Kirk needs to throw it, just let him throw it to Adam Thielen or Justin Jefferson. So I think if you're Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson owners, it's going to hurt for the rest of the season.
You think?
If they go that route. And I think Dalvin Cook owners are going to be really happy if he can stay healthy. I think as long as Dalvin Cook is healthy, the team's going to revolve around him. But if he gets banged up, then it's going to go right back to Captain Kirk. In Detroit, I don't know. Kenny Galladay's out. No matter what, even if this game gets played. And is it TJ Hawkinson or Tyler Hawkinson?
TJ.
Either way, he's questionable for this Sunday as well.
Would you play Marvin Jones in this matchup at all?
Maybe, probably, because that takes the place of Galladay. Maybe he'll get the touches, but I think that's a pretty desperate move.
It is a pretty desperate move.
He's like a flex position, like if you're really hurt.
He's not the Marvin Jones that we were accustomed to a few years ago.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be going out to pick him up just to play him as my number 2. I would hope that someone's got a better number 2 than going out and picking up Marvin Jones. To move on to the next one, unless you're in a 12-team league. If you're in a 12-team league, that Marvin Jones pick could help you out this weekend. But moving on to the next game, we've got the New York Giants at the Washington football team. Washington's a 2.5-point favorite. You know who I took in this one, right, Hunter? With me not even saying it, dude. Who'd I take?
The Washington professional or semi-professional football team.
I took the New York Giants, led by the one and only Danny Dimes. I have faith in Daniel Jones still. Turns the ball over a lot. But he has glimpses where he looks really sharp. Sure, that throw for the 2-point conversion comes late. I don't think it's pass interference because the throw is just so far behind the guy. I think it's incidental contact. Obviously, they picked up the flag, and the Giants don't get to do it again. But I'm taking the Daniel Jones experience against the Washington football team. What do you think?
Giants absolutely overperformed last week. Give me the football team.
You want the football team?
Yeah. They're favored 2.5 here. I think that the Giants are just going to have a letdown. It's funny having a letdown game off of a loss, but that's the state of the NFC East right now anyways. So
I just think that their defense is playing really well too. Like the Giants defense has been
the Giants
stepping
defense
up the past
is
couple
serviceable.
weeks. And so I think that the football team. Gosh, we might as well come up with a segment every week where we just give the Washington team a different team name every week.
I'm
Does that
sticking
sound?
with semi-professional football team
You're
because
gonna
that's what
stick
they
with?
are at this
I
point.
might just call them whatever comes off the top of my head at the time because I'm tired of saying football team, even no matter how sarcastic I say it. But anyway, I think that the Giants' defense is going to slow down anything that this Washington team can produce on offense. It's going to be a super ugly game. I might watch the highlights of it. I'm definitely not going to tune into it on Sunday.
Yeah, no.
But I'm taking the Giants in the points in this one.
Until the NFC East gives me some actual winning records, I'm not watching any of these games for them. Sorry.
And I don't think that there's anyone in this matchup too that you want to go after in fantasy. So let's just move on to the next one. We've got the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Houston's a 7-point favorite. And at first I scratched my head in this one and I said, why is Houston so heavily favored when they're a pretty poor team themselves? And the reason is, folks, is Gardner Minshew is not playing in this game. So I am taking the Houston Texans easily. I mean, Jacksonville's bad, and maybe they would stick around for a little bit and they'd lose it in the end. But without Minshew, I don't think it'll be close.
The one thing they had going for them this year is that Minshew could have a game or two this season where he just plays extremely well, and now that's gone.
Yeah.
So, Jake Luton is going to be the starting quarterback. I'm not interested in playing in fantasy. Basically, any of those guys except for James Robinson. And then, I agree with you. I'm going Houston here. There's talks of Will Fuller being traded. That didn't happen, so obviously he's still got some weapons there. It's going to be enough to beat this bad Jacksonville team. That's one of the worst teams in the league. So,
yep. Let's move on. Let's jump to the Las Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Chargers. This game is even though the desert people know that the Chargers seem to blow every game they lead in. And Vegas has been playing pretty well, and they had a pretty impressive grinded out game at Cleveland last weekend that I also predicted. So I'm taking Vegas in this one. I think Gruden's doing a pretty good job this season. I think Derek Carr's doing a pretty good job managing this team this season from the field. What do you think?
This is going to be a really fun game, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be entertaining to see the Raiders offense and Justin Herbert going back and forth. I think this one will definitely be fun to watch.
For sure.
Go.
I'm going to. This was a tough decision for me, but I am going to go with the Chargers here. It seems like the Raiders, as much as jeez, my timer keeps going off here. Anyways, the Chargers just seem like this team that can put up points regardless of who they're facing, and the Raiders seem to just show up for the big games. Do you think that's a fair assessment of the Raiders, or are they better than that?
I think it's a pretty fair assessment. I do think they have a couple of letdown games where maybe their offense isn't clicking as well, but I think this one they're gonna take this one more seriously than some of those other ones because it's a divisional game and because of how much implications it's going to have on the division. I mean, if Kansas City continues to lose a couple games, which I don't think the Raiders will catch up and compete for that top spot in the division, but I think that if they can keep rattling off games, I think they're going to be a wild card team.
Do you think that they're a threat as a wild card team too to these better seeds?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders are a threat to be a playoff team this season. I think Cleveland's going to have a hard time. Like if I saw a picture last night that if the playoffs were to start today, that the Cleveland Browns were the 7th seed because there's 7 seeds this season. We got to remember that. But let me check this real quickly.
For those of you that don't know, now there's only one team that gets a bye now, and the rest are all playing on wild card weekend.
Yeah, so the Raiders right now are 4-3. So if they get this win, them and the Browns, who are on a bye this week, are both 5-3, and the Raiders have the head-to-head matchup in that one. So the Raiders do creep into that 7 seed. So I think that the Browns and the Raiders are going to be two teams battling it out for that 6 and 7 seed this season.
Mm-hmm. I
What do
agree.
you think about that?
I agree. The Raiders seem to have good moments and they have bad moments, and it seems like the teams that have success against them are the teams that they stop the short passing game. And like we saw earlier in the season when the Patriots were good and it seemed like they were one of the best teams actually in the AFC, they shut down the Raiders. They just knew exactly how to schematically approach them. And
I never had faith that the Patriots were one of the best teams in the league, but go ahead.
well, they looked like it. Anyways, they seem to struggle when teams shut that down. So maybe in the playoffs when teams are completely basing their game plan around that, it'll change. But they are scary.
They are who we thought they were. Let's move on to the next one. We've got or who did you take in that one real quickly? I took the Raiders. Did you take the Chargers?
Yeah, I went the Chargers.
Ooh, gross. Pittsburgh at Dallas. Speaking of gross, Steelers are a 14-point favorite in this one. Let's not even spend much time on it. I think that they're going to plow through Dallas and they're going to destroy them. The Cowboys aren't starting Danucci again. I think I heard it might be Cooper Rush. So, I mean, you might as well just have Kellen Moore put the pads back on and have him play quarterback in this one because it doesn't matter. I think Pittsburgh's going to win this one by 20. What do you think?
Yep, doesn't matter. It's Pittsburgh all the way here. Pittsburgh in their 2 games against Lamar Jackson, last year's MVP, they have made him fumble 4 times and they have made him throw a pick 4 times. So it's a little bit that's a statement right there when you can do that against the league's MVP last year. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers in this matchup. Dallas sucks, man. They're not good. I'm sorry that you guys had to deal with this with your fantasy teams, with Amari Cooper.
Yeah, if you have anyone for Dallas, don't play him. Zeke maybe, but
Zeke's
he's not going
questionable
to do much.
going into this game.
Zeke's questionable, but he participated in practice a little bit.
Take that as an excuse not to play him, people, please.
Yeah, but
he's going against the Steelers too, and the Steelers are so good stopping the run.
I know. I'm just saying, if you don't have any other options, I don't, I'm gonna have to play him this weekend. But
best of luck.
If you're Pittsburgh, you play everyone you can get your hands on: Chase Claypool, Schuster, running backs, Connor, Big Ben. And definitely the defense. I bet the defense is going to have a big week in fantasy. So if you don't have their defense already and you can go out and get them, definitely do that.
Love James Conner this week. Like you said, Claypool, I would probably play. He led the team in targets last week. It's tough to say in a game like this, always who's going to be the best wide receiver for this team because it could be over in the matter of minutes. So,
yeah.
So I'm most confident in the running back here. I'm probably not playing Deontay Johnson, even though I love Deontay Johnson, though. So,
all right, let's move on to the next one. This is another exciting game this weekend. The Miami Dolphins, the Fins, the fish tank, on a 3-game win streak with Tua starting.
3-game win streak with Tua.
Hang on. Let me finish the intro
like that.
And you just take a deep breath. At the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona's a 4.5-point favorite at home. Tua looked pretty rough last week. I'm not going to defend how he played. I mean, he also went up against Aaron Donald in his very first ever game and his first time starting a game since I didn't even remember because of the hip injury. So it's been over a year since he's played. But I think he'll look a little bit better against this Arizona defense. But I took the Cardinals in this one because I think that the Cardinals offense is going to score some points. Even though the Miami Dolphins have one of the best defenses in the league with only giving up 130 points this season, which me quickly scrolling through, is the least amount of points given up in the entire league. Go ahead, Hunter.
I mean, Tua just is putting this team on his back right now. He's carrying them to these wins, and it's incredible what he's done as a rookie. I mean, last week, how many points did they put up? And he was just incredible, right?
He scored 28, and he scored one of them.
That's sarcasm, by the way, people. It was incredible how they found every single way. Jared Goff was just atrocious in that game. It was bad.
Was it Jared Goff, or was it the defensive scheme that the Dolphins had? Because they hit every gap and they got to Jared Goff. They were slicing through them like butter.
Okay, good on the Dolphins defense. Jared Goff looked awful. Okay. He looked awful. It was bad. He has these games where when he's on schedule and he looks like he was that player that went to the Super Bowl. But at the same time, he's going to have these absolute meltdown games, and he looks like Mitchell Trubisky, or maybe even worse. It's bad. It's probably the worst quarterback contract of the last, 10 years.
I disagree.
You think?
Blake Bortles.
Okay, but that wasn't the same money.
Okay, if we're going to get nitpicky with it. Anyway, fun fact for you, though. The defensive coordinator for the Patriots in that Super Bowl is now the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and Brian Flores, who drew up a very similar game plan and put Jared Goff in the ground, just like the Patriots did in that Super Bowl. So I'm just saying, I don't think it's Jared Goff. I think it was the defense that he went up against. Miami's defense is no joke. That's what they went and did all their free agency moves on over the last offseason. I think Miami's defense is for real.
Do you think they win this division?
As much as I want to say yes, they don't, because I don't believe in their offense. Even if Ryan Fitzpatrick was behind the wheel, I don't believe in the offense enough. But they're going to creep around, and I think they'll be a dark horse wild card team. They're going to be trying their hardest to get that 7th seed. Whether they get it or not, I think they're going to be close, but I don't think that they'll make the playoff.
Be prepared, people, to hear the Miami Dolphins are the best team in the division in the next 4 weeks, because this is who they're playing. They're playing the Cardinals, probably going to be a loss, I would guess. I'm taking the Cardinals in this game personally. Then they've got the Chargers, the Broncos, the Jets, the Bengals. They're going to look pretty good through those games, I think, right? Well, here's the bad part. They face then the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Raiders, and the Bills to end the season. So
I think they could beat the Patriots.
Well, they could beat the Patriots, but they're not winning those other 3 games, I don't think.
I mean, they're not going to beat the Chiefs. No. I don't think that. That'll be fun, though, to see. That'll test their defense. But I think the Chiefs are still going to win it. They're going to outscore Tua's offense. But yeah, I mean, I'm taking Arizona in this one because I think that Arizona's offense is going to be good, even though I just think that they'll outscore Miami. I think it'll be a pretty low-scoring game, though. What do you think, just score-wise?
Yeah.
Under, over 45.
It's I would take the under. It's hard to say right now that Tua's going to do anything spectacular when we haven't seen it. So
next, we've got the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is a 5-point favorite in this one. Hunter, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, give me Tampa Bay. They looked pretty good they didn't look great last week. Obviously, they were playing the Giants, but they got it done. And they were obviously missing pieces, and they're going to have a lot of those pieces back. So give me the Bucs in this game. I like New Orleans, but they don't seem to have enough to get it done against the great teams.
I just don't trust New Orleans offense. I don't think Drew Brees has it anymore. He shows up to the games, and he just doesn't look like he has that swagger anymore. It just doesn't look like he has the fight. It's almost like, he considered retirement last year, and it took a little bit out of him. And Tampa Bay's offense is incredible right now. Or not incredible, I shouldn't say that. Their defense is incredible right now, and the offense is, hitting on almost all cylinders, and now they're throwing another piece into it with Antonio Brown. So I think it'll take a couple more weeks for them to hit their full potential. But I think by the end of the season, this Tampa Bay team is going to be really scary. Next on the list is New England and the New York Jets. The Patriots in this one are a 7-point favorite. I'm taking the Patriots in this one because I just have faith in Bill Belichick to not lose against the Jets, and I don't think that Adam Gase can coach a winning game with this New York Jets. What do you think, Hunter?
I agree completely. This Jets team sucks. Give me the Patriots all day. I don't think we need to give more detail than that. So
we do not. Let's move on. Thank you, Springfield Brewing Company, for this delicious beer. Thank you, Lord Baby Jesus, for Walnut Street. It was good. Go out and get a bottle, get a 6-pack, give it a go. Springfield Brew Co., Walnut Street, pretty darn good. Looking forward to the Clemson Notre Dame game this weekend. Tune into that one, folks. It's going to be a good one. That's it for us. Catch us on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Unknown Sport Pod. Take it easy.
See ya.